Before working on any firearm, make sure the magazine is empty and removed. Also make sure the chamber is empty and the firearm is unloaded.
So now we're going to do everything in reverse and do the complete reassembly. All right, you're going to start with the trigger. You got the arch on the trigger. Okay. You're going to want to put that back in. Okay, with the trigger in. Next step is the sear and disconnector. Remember, the flat spot rests towards on the trigger bow. Okay, then you're going to put your sear in like so. Slide it up in there. Grab your sear pin. Got a notch on your sear pin. You want to make sure it's facing back towards the holes on the frame for the hammer and grip safety. Okay, once that's in, next step, what I like to do on it is to install the sear pin, or the sear spring, excuse me. To do that, make sure that it's locked into its proper notch. Put the grip safety on. Pay special attention to make sure that the left side sear spring is resting on top of that sear leg and it's not underneath of it. Okay, you see that it's in there correctly. All right, next step I do is I install the hammer. Okay, you'll hear a click or the disengaging. Install the hammer pin. All right, pull the trigger and I let the hammer come all the way forward. All right, with it all the way forward, next step is to install the grip safety. Make sure that the hammer strut is riding in its proper little channel there. Press up on the mainspring housing. Once that's in, I put back in the mainspring housing pin. Okay, from there we're going to install the right side thumb safety. Okay, all right, make sure it's riding in the groove properly. All right, from there we're going to move over to the left side, put the plunger spring back in. The plunger spring, make sure the small plunger goes forward. It's going to face the back of the slide stop. Okay, put that in like so. All right, next step is to install the left side. To do that, I cock the hammer back, put her in. Gonna lift the right side thumb safety in the halfway between the fire and safe mode. Take a small screwdriver. Okay, depress the plunger. Some safeties go together. You can use the back of the screwdriver or a non-marring hammer. Give it a few taps, make sure that tongue and groove joint's nice and tight where the two safeties are held together. All right. Okay, I'm not going to check the hammer and everything yet because I prefer to have the slide on just in case there is an issue. It's going to hit the back of the slide like it's supposed to instead of damaging the back of the frame or the hammer or the gun. Okay, so after that, then going to install the mag well. Do that, lock that back in. Put back on the grip panels. Put back in your magazine catch. And remember that the magazine catch has to be depressed. Find its little notch and then turn the little set screw back down. Magazine catch is now engaged. We're going to set the frame aside and get started back on the reassembly of the slide. All right. Take the slide, lightly lube inside the locking lugs, and then also on the surface of the barrel where the bushing rides, I also put lube on the rails and on the disconnector rail. Put the bushing back in, rotate it all the way clockwise. Next step is to install the full-length guide rod. Put that in where she belongs. Okay, Depending on which spring you got in the gun, you got the closed end and you got the opened end. The closed end always goes towards the back of the guide rod. All right, install it like so. Now in this step, you got to pay special attention on this style of gun for you don't lose the spring plug. All right, so you're going to depress the spring with your finger, press it down in. I rotate the bushing a little bit to get it to engage. I take my barrel bushing, finish rotating, locks into place. All right, now we can reassemble. Well, next we got to do is put the firing controls back in the slide. So we're going to put the extractor back in, line it up properly, press it down flush, put your spring back in. Now this firing pin looks different than your guys'. This one's been cut for it's a non-firing gun. This is one of our display guns. But you put your firing pin back in, press down with your finger to get it to go below the shelf. Put your firing pin stop in. Okay, I keep pressure on it. I grab the little tool, press down on the firing pin, put in the firing pin stop. Okay. So now it's all ready for reassembly onto the frame. You make sure the link is pushed forward. Okay, make sure the guide rod's tight against the bottom of the barrel. Install the slide back onto the frame. Going to install the slide stop. Now I drop the slide stop in there and I take and I move the slide back a little bit, wiggle to get it to where it's all the way in there. All right, next is to move the slide back to the assembly notch. Press it in, forward. Okay, from here we can do the safety check on the fire controls. All right, first thing you're going to do is put the firearm into the safe mode. All right, make sure your thumb safeties work. Okay, some safeties are working properly. Next step is to put it down in the fire mode. Take your finger off the back of the grip safety. Press on the trigger a few times, make sure the grip safety is working properly. All right, with both of those working properly, I go ahead and hold the firearm, press the trigger. All right, I keep the trigger depressed, let up on the trigger, hear it click off the disconnector, pull the trigger. Now I keep the trigger pressed. This is where you're going to check the grip safety. All right, then you're going to take your hand off the back of the grip safety and let go of let go of the trigger. And you want to feel that click and see the grip safety move forward, show that it's engaged. That's a disassembly and reassembly of the 2011 A1 VZ model.